Welcome back on Arunfoot. This is Arunava Chaudhuri and another podcast for you. And this time I have Parus and Zohaib with me. And the Brown Ballers FC at the TST 7v7. Yes, Z, you're showing the logo. A lot of work has gone into this, gentlemen. Finally, it's the afternoon, evening before it all kicks off. How important is it for South Asians in football, not only in the UK, in the US, in North America, but around the world?
So, first off, thank you for doing the interview. This is amazing, as always. I think, answer your question, a lot of work has gone in, from everybody. Ourselves, Coach Amric, Arjun Jung, who's assistant coach as well, Gautam and Naveen, who are the founders, the players, everyone who supported the progress and the cause. A lot of people have got have supported and put money in and time to get this to where it's supposed to be. Now we play West Ham tomorrow as our first game, which is not a easy first game. But feeling good, and we're hopefully representing not just at least for me personally. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Speak for both of us. But it's mostly like I think there's the element of representing the underrepresented, right? Globally, and not just North America, UK, but the team is very global and worldwide, and it is a massive opportunity for these players to show what they could do.
And that's the important thing, Zohaib, for you. Very special game because the Brown Ballers kick off against your beloved West Ham United. And there is an Indian angle at West Ham United with Rahul KP. There was a lot of buzz in India about the whole thing. And of course, that also puts a lot of light on this game because players of origin, of Indian origin, of South Asian origin will be playing that match. How are you feeling? You've traveled all the way from the UK to the US.
I just want to echo what Parus said. And first of all, give thanks to you for giving us this opportunity to talk about Brown Ballers FC and echo everything that Parus said again about thanking all the people behind the scenes, from the coaches, from Coach Amric here, from Arjun Jung joining us. Unfortunately, Arjun Jung was our first pick. He got injured in the Baller League in week 2. But the reason for picking a player like Arjun was always to use his expertise and knowledge and know-how with a small-sided game. With all his experience in playing for the England 6 side, playing in Baller League and playing other teams around the world. Going to the game tomorrow, it's so funny that when I heard that West Ham were going to be part of TST, I was saying to the guys doing one of our Zoom calls that I wish we get West Ham.
You did say that.
And I wish and I want to beat them. For me, this is a weird thing. I've been asked by friends, like, how are you feeling? For those who don't know, I'm born and brought up in East London, 10 minutes from where West Ham United's old ground used to be before they moved to the London Stadium in Stratford. It's a team I've supported. I've been to matches, loads of lows, highs. We won the European Cup. We were European champions 2 years ago. We were European champions.
European Conference League.
European champions still. And there's such a love and affinity for this club that's been part of my life for so long. And when the moment happened that we drew them, it was so weird. Like we got the text come through, and I think I was in a coffee shop with a friend of mine, and I was like, it was like a private conversation. And when I saw it, I did swear out loud. Just I'm not gonna do it now. I'm not gonna recreate it. I was like, okay, let's go. And it was like straight away. There's no doubt in my mind where my heart lies because I'm wearing it on my chest right now. It is Brown Ballers FC. So if anyone's doubting whether I have any split loyalties for this first game, there is no doubt. I want to go there and beat them, and I can be friends with them afterwards. It's exciting also to have Rahul playing for West Ham United. As you know, we were talking about representation earlier in the conversation. It's great that a team like West Ham is representing so many nationalities from around the world. They did a media post recently on Instagram showing all the different locations and regions the players are from. I thought it was such a nice touch. We talk about football being a global game. Here we are sitting in Cary, North Carolina. I've travelled a long way, but so have many others. It really captures the essence of everything happening. But going back to Rahul, I'm actually looking forward to speaking to him after the game. Before that, he's no friend of mine. Just to make it clear, we won't be friends after the game. But yeah, it's such an exciting moment for Indian football as well to have representation, not only with Rahul, but with Brown Borders FC as well. And the work that I've done and Parus has done, you've done individually, and us as a collective. We talk about this often. We always look at opportunities where we can drive our communities forward, not just through talk, but through action. And this opportunity, when it came along, when it first came along, and I'm sure I'm okay saying this, is when it first came along 2 years ago, I wasn't convinced that it was the right thing to do, because I have a mentality that says that we should go out to be the best and go for excellence and go for victory. So if you're going to put $1 million tournament at the top, and that's what we're going for, we're not going here to take part and just for representation. We're already doing that by proxy, but just by being here. That's us already. Every player we spoke to, everyone that's involved, and that goes from top to bottom, from the sponsors. We've got sponsors by inspirational individuals who have won in their line of expertise and businesses. These are self-made individuals who've won big, in life in terms of being successful. And now that's the spirit we need to embody as well. So everyone involved in this project has that mentality, and it was very clear, and it had to be clear for me and all of us that is the priority. Now, of course, we're going to enjoy it as much as we can, where we know what we're representing. We are representing 25% of the world through the team and all the work that I've done over the last 20 years. And I know you've been at the very beginning of my career when I first started, and we've been friends for, it's weird to say it's 20 years, but
yeah.
That's, we're young men. We're still slightly oldish young men now. But the fact is, our vision and our mentality and the line that we chose hasn't changed. We wanted excellence then, and we want excellence now, and excellence going forward. And the great thing about now compared to, say, 20 years ago is we've got a whole group of young, hungry players who are chasing excellence, and we can help them drive forward and be better than us. So that was a key part. But yeah, it's going to be exciting tomorrow. I'm not going to lie. When I see West Ham tomorrow, it's going to be like, for a second, am I sitting in the right dugout? Don't worry.
I'm not stressed about it.
Parus just ensure he sits in the right dugout, right? So just.
Actually, I might just go sit in
but important thing is one question or 1 point. I mean, again, we're friends, and there are other friends, and they'll be watching this afterwards surely as well. I hope it comes across the passion that you guys have for football, for the community, and putting this together. Nearly 3 months ago, Z, you and I were sitting in London, and you were telling me about this, and Paris, we've had a lot of conversations about things, and I'm very, very happy that you guys have gotten as far as you've gotten, and that the big days here that you're going to get onto the field. How tough was it to get to this point? How did you scout for players? How did you pick players? How do you get this team together? How did you train? How did you prepare? Tell us a little bit more about that, guys.
Yeah, so if I could step in, basically, so obviously, as many of you may not know, obviously, Arun, you know, I'm in professional football anyway. We're doing a lot of things, and Zohaib's trying to help me actually, clarify in a very short way of what we do, which is a lot. But one of the bread and butter of what we do is, developing and representing players, right? So we have our own way of looking at players, and our own way of trying to organize that scouting process. And while he coughs up a lot of noise, and then you're right.
Yeah.
So we have our.
That's the West Ham curse, which is now hitting him.
I know, right?
I'm choking up just thinking about what I just said.
Yeah. You need to sit in the right dugout tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes. So again, myself, and then obviously Coach Amrik, who, again, people that may not know, he's one of our clients. He's one of the best coaches I've ever worked with in any capacity. So we had an idea. Obviously, Zohaib had his own ideas as well, which became very fruitful as well. So it was an easy one to say, okay, this is the type of players we need. And then with our first player, obviously Arjun, unfortunately not being able to play for us, but being a part of the staff, through him we were able to go, okay, well, this is, if he's going to be the captain or be a captain or be a leader or be one of the main players, building around him, and that was obviously Zohaib's hard work there. Building around him wouldn't be super difficult because we know, okay, now we can have a mixture of 11-a-side players, a mixture of 7-a-side. But the really big thing that I was keen on, and I think we all agreed, was that we wanted some sort of trial. And being the first time, obviously working with the foundation, obviously Brown Ballers, being a non-profit, it's not like we had $1 million to chuck around and do trials all over the world, which honestly we would love to have done. Just gone to Australia and India and mainland Europe and UK, again, name it, where the representation is. I'm sure there's players everywhere that we may have missed. But what we were keen to do was do a trial. So, with what we do in the development space and the sports medicine space and facilitation space, everything that we do in football and sport in general, we were able to put something together quickly in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, if anyone doesn't know, where we were able to have a field, and we had players from all over, particularly North America, come and showcase their ability. And Coach Amrick was able to do a great session over 2 days, where we saw some players that we had completely missed. And some players that didn't quite make the cut, but had this absurd passion, which is becoming rare sometimes for football. Which in our experience when working with players in the last sort of few years and generationally, there seems to be if I want it more than another one of our players, that might be a problem. And I'm seeing that more and more, and maybe that's circumstantial. That's another whole other discussion. But that was really good to see, and everyone made their way out there, and we took our had our choices, and at this point we were very transparent. We had players we already had in mind. And wanted to fill the rest of the spaces with players that should impress us in trial. And we decided that to try and be organized, we'd have a backup list of players if that we know that didn't quite make the cut from the trial and then we were quite right initially for the squad. And lo and behold, 2 weeks before the preseason that we'd organized in Pittsburgh as well, because we wanted to have a week at least of players being together and team bonding and getting really conditioned for this week. We had 4 players injured and unable to make it due to personal circumstances, and we mobilized pretty quickly and getting players in and flying players in and all sorts of stuff, and we got there in the end. And now it's Tuesday, June 3rd, and literally 8 days ago, I called it. Hey, I was like, I think we need 4 new players, but luckily we had a backup. Luckily we had our relationships and contacts that we already had. And we managed to get 14 players that we're really comfortable with. I think the age range is fantastic. The level of playing with players who've played pro, players who want to play pro, players who are in academies, players at university. So it's really for the first time where everyone's doing this. Brown Ballers as well. Working with them, and knowing them for a long time, but really working with them as business capacity. It's been, touch wood, in comparison to what we expected, as I'm sure as a whole, smooth, touch wood. It's been smooth in the sense of you're going to have issues, you're going to have problems, but I think we all held ourselves to a really, really high standard, and that has been really key.
Could you give us some numbers in regard to how many players you were looking at, and how many players did you invite for the trials? How many players made the final squad?
Great question. So we had. And again, please cut in if you want to add.
So I think I'll speak from
go ahead. Speak from the UK
two
side.
Perspectives here. So what I was looking at the UK and Europe side of things. From that, we had a list of around 80 to 100 players that we could consider. Now that obviously included players playing pro, playing across the tiers, playing semi-pro, and also small-sided specialists as well. A few competitions that are going on in the world, like the Kings League, Border League, Icon League, even the World Cup, 6-a-side World Cup. There is talent that you can find everywhere, and I guess we wanted to see as many players as possible. I looked after that side, and I left the North America side to Parus and Coach Ambrick, purely because of this. And this is the perfect way of doing business: is you work to your expertise. My expertise lies in UK, Europe, largely, and with Parus and Amrick, it's USA and Canada
and globally.
And basically, look, UK, Europe, and everywhere else is
that's
right?
better. That's better. And to be fair, it's a good way, because obviously from our end, we've had database that and I think we've all talked about this individually. Right? We've had a database of players of South Asian origin that we've tried to put together for donkey's years. On our end, it's a couple hundred players big, and we've scanned about 47,000 players over 52 different countries. So it's like, it could. Don't get me wrong, we still always going to miss players, right?
Mm.
Which is why the trial was so important, because we had players that came that thought, disappointed us, and players that came that blew us away in that short space of time. And again, for the first time it being done, it was nice to see how many people wanted to be involved. And I mean, to this day, we get messages from all over people wanting to get involved. And I think obviously it's tough, right? Because now we're here, we can't have players because we had a very clear objective of 14 players, 2 per position, essentially, as a 7-side tournament, because we wanted every player that we had to actually contribute. There's teams here that have 25 players and 20 players, and that's not necessarily an issue. I have no judgment to them, but for us, it's a case of there's only, I think, 40 minutes, 20 hours, right?
Yeah,
so how do you make sure not only that because we're here to win. We're not here to just, like Zohaib said, we're not here to just hang out and for you to post on us and say, look, we turned up. It's like, hey, if we don't show up tomorrow, then the discussion's going to be different.
But how important is that point? Because I think the perception of certain people is that TST is sort of a sports come entertainment event on one side, where I know some legends of German clubs who took part last year, and they really loved the whole sort of vibe of the place, but didn't put much focus, I think, on the sporting side of things. How important is that to get that across and to make sure? Because there's the other side of things is, for example, we were speaking about West Ham, how they've tried to put a global team together, so to say, that you must probably also try to maybe go after some marquee names, some marquee people from the South Asian community to potentially represent the community.
I think our top line was always to find players, regardless who they were. If they're ex-players, ex-pros, current pros, upcoming players, is what is your desire? And it had to match our desire. Let's be honest. This isn't a job for us. We both have our own businesses, our own commitments. We put a lot of stuff on hold or sacrificing certain things at the moment, being honest, to be here. I'm here for 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks here in the States. That's things I have to make provisions for. If I'm going to do that, it has to be for a purpose. Now, what other teams might be going for, that's up to them. They have their own priorities, own reason for going, whether it's for brand awareness, whether it's to have a good time. Fantastic. I'm here to win. And it's $1 million prize, and that's what I want. And without it being like, whether it is a drive, terminal agreed, whatever it is, it's not that. It's literally, you've got a prize on offer. I want the prize. Everything else is a proxy. We will enjoy it, of course. It's a beautiful place here. The TST, the organizers, we were there today for Media Day. Big thanks to them as well. The way they've organized everything, it gives you a big tournament feel. And then we go to a World Cup or one of those large confederation tournaments. It's got that feel, and they've gone all out to make it an amazing experience for the fans, for the teams taking part. So I wouldn't want to disrespect them by saying we're only here for the good time. I'm saying that there is $1 million prize. We want that prize ultimately.
Yeah,
but when we also understand one more thing, I just want to add is, I'm sure we all agree, is we don't want to lose the moment we're in as well. It is a big thing to bring so many players from so many different areas. I mean, even the States, if you look at how vast the landmass of the United States is, we had the player fly 7 hours.
Yeah,
my flight was 7 hours, 7.5 hours from the UK to Pittsburgh, and there's a player flying 7 hours across the States. That's a big monumental effort, and that's only because everyone believes in what we want. And now, top line to every player that we spoke to, and we didn't put words in their mouth. We asked them a question. It's like when you do an interview with someone, see if they fit and match your mentality. What is your purpose for this? No, that was so important. That question is so important. It's not a deal breaker, but it's such an important question to ensure we're all on the same line. Because what happens then is, then talk becomes cheap if you don't put the effort in and don't do the actions. But we knew where the heart lies and what the intentions are. And that's so important for all of us to ensure that the intention is there. But we are going to enjoy it. We have enjoyed his last 8-9 days. Parus has been amazing. He is the king of Pittsburgh, by the way, just to let you know. This
wasn't planned, by the way. This was not planned.
You have to imagine every aspect.
This will cost you a lot.
Yeah.
I just want to just credit where it's due. if you ask any of the players about the week they had in terms of training camp, how it went, the preparations, the just everything related to morning, noon, and night, it's difficult. It's such a challenge to look after a mass of people, a group of people. You've been on tours, you know how it is to ensure that every single minute is planned for. Most places will be like, right, we're going to do a game here, we're going to have a training session here, here's lunch, dinner, and breakfast, and then the rest of the time is yours. But we had to take responsibility as staff off the field to ensure that happens. But Parus has been amazing in making sure that's seamless. And let's be honest, like, there's been a few times we were talking about last week. You just mentioned earlier about having to ring for players who are on our kind of waiting list.
Yeah.
Waiting list isn't the right word, but
backup list.
But they're not backup. They're still part of the team. Backup list makes them sound like we just had to call them because we had to, but they were very much part of the plan still if we were going to take a bigger squad. But there were other things that do happen, other things that do go wrong, just logistically, in terms of it could be anything. But the way Parus deals with things, and I guess I deal with things, is we make it so that the players don't know that anything is wrong, because they're so essential to ensure that they have the best preparation. And now it's up to them. Now it's down to the players. We've done everything that we can. The King here has done everything that he can to get us to this point. And I just want to also want to obviously say thank you to just touch on the Brown Ballers co-founders, Naveen and Gautam as well, because this opportunity comes through them, and we've been able to work very well together. We've always looked at opportunities how we could work together, because we have I have a platform, they have a great platform. There was always room for synergy and working together. We're just waiting for that right project, and the right project came along.
It's massive, yeah. No, I think it's very sweet you say that, and I think in our business as well, and Arunava, is somebody who's been in the game a long time. I'm sure a lot of people that follow know that what you did in the ISL. It's a very thankless job, and I think we don't have a problem with that actually. In the day, I think internally we don't. People point it out, and it's not nice sometimes when you do something. But really, like I said, we want it so badly that I'll do whatever it takes to get this done. And that's just not to me, yourself, Naveen, Gautam, Coach Amrik. I think it's important to mention the sponsors as well, because I think because of what we're standing for, and obviously I hope it sounds like from all of us, yourself, the staff, the founders of Brown Ballers, the way we're communicating the vision, people seem to be on board with, right? So, in Pittsburgh, we've had La Roche University host us the whole week, gave us the facilities, gave us the dorms, putting players up in a university where you don't have to. They don't, they could do anything else they could do. India on Wheels fed us. We coordinate with them to do athletic meals for Indian, South Asian food, right? Obviously, it's Indian food truck, but we wanted to cater it to everybody. Whether it's make sure it's halal meat and make sure it's, how do we make it healthy and make it not so that the boys, are not feeling heavy or bloated afterwards. That's another side sort of project.
Not too much of ghee in the
meat. Listen, it's one of the things. A lot of, again, just expanding stereotypes, right? This stuff and what we eat that is great. The way we got ginger and turmeric, for example, right? These things that we use for thousands of years as a culture, they're actually very, very powerful ingredients, and you're just harnessing those things. And then, the Bulldog Pub held us for a fundraiser, and the Bulldog Pub is this brilliant space in Pittsburgh. I say space because it's anyone can come. You watch football, and it's an incredible place to just meet people and watch Liverpool win the Premier League. Essentially, it's essentially what I was great for this year. Just making sure
the West Ham.
I don't remember that. I wasn't there for that. So, and then finally as well, starting with the beginning, I think I hope I haven't forgotten, but we've had
Pittsburgh Riverhounds as well.
Riverhounds looked after us, as a game, but the two big ones were Parthivanshi and his family with Dr. who helped really kickstart the whole process with being able to fund us and put us in the tournament. Blinklink, who also contributed, and I'm hoping I'm not forgetting, but Lexa Sport as well. I mean, the reason this is important is not to just plug these guys, but it's the fact that we were able, in Touchwood, it seems like everybody understands the vision, which is we're putting on a team that no one really sees often to go and win $1 million. And it's not like we're putting on a team just to compete and we want to collect as much money as possible so that everyone gets paid for and we can go home. It's, hey, everyone's going to come and pull their weight. and if they don't, you're not going to be here. And I think we've been very clear with some of the players this week, and not players, sorry, some of us, just as a team, all of us, and I think it was really important to mention everybody that's been involved, because, to reiterate, it's clearly something that people understand, that this, idea of underrepresented people, which, South Asians are in the sport for many reasons.
But Parus, that would be like the final question to me, to both of you guys, is in America it's brown folks, in the UK is it South Asians, is it Asians?
Yeah.
See, I think that's the whole discussion. Is this story about sort of a marginalized group in the world's biggest sport? Is that a story that at the TST tournament, also with, again, I mentioned him, Rahul KP playing for West Ham, is that a story which is going around in North Carolina at the moment, that there is something happening?
I want to let you conclude this, but for me personally, it's not a story if we don't. I'm trying to say this really concisely, because it's a really, really important answer.
Yeah.
To me, anyway, the story is we've come here to compete and tear it up, and we happen to be called brown ballers, right? And we happen to represent this marginalized community. The story shouldn't be is this team turned up and got slapped 7-0 every game, right? Now, we're saying this on camera to you on the eve of our big game. These things can happen in sport, but I think that's the mentality we have to come into, is that I don't think people talk about it. I'm sure it raises eyebrows when people say brown ballers, because you can imagine anybody else with a name and a color in it with players, I'm sure it's different. But again, I think there's a consensus that no one bats an eye, because like, oh yeah, it makes sense, because these guys only play football. Don't play often. So it's almost sad in a way that no one's like, just call yourself the ballers. Like, but it's like, it's clear. Yeah. It's clear that there's a some sort of disparity, right? So I personally don't actually care if it's going around as a story, but for me, it's about writing the story, which is this team came here, pulled it together from all over the world, and competed to the very end. And that's the story I want to leave with, to be honest.
I just been listening to what you said there. Fully echo everything you said. And I'll just mention, if you know who I am and everything I've done,
which I do,
you know me very well. It's all about showing that our ballers can ball. That's the key part. This is an opportunity to show that. This is just another opportunity to show that. I don't want to make this the biggest thing that could ever happen. If we're winning $1 million, it's coming to our pocket. That doesn't really do anything for the community. The community can take inspiration from it, and you know what? They are. We've been receiving messages of youngsters being inspired by seeing a turban wearing Sikh coach.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And not because he's a Sikh coach, because he's a coach, but they've seen him operate at high standards. But he looks like Baba or something. Yeah. My dad looks like me. That's an inspiration, but that's not the intention that we're going with. We're not going with the intention to say, "Oh, we want to inspire a generation." It's such a weird thing to say. We kind of do want to inspire people, but inspire to go for excellence, not because you're brown, because you're excellent, because you're brilliant. That's what you're striving for. And this is the same conversation. You got to think. If I name check a couple of players, we've had Arjun Jung, who's been playing in massive tournaments, representing England six-a-side in the World Cups and the Euros, being player manager, being those responsible positions. We had Musa Bam, who recently competed with England in the six-a-side World Cup in Azerbaijan. He basically flew from Azerbaijan straight direct here, went from one tournament to another. And it was so cruel the way they lost the game. If anyone was following the World Cup, his mentality is, I want to go out and win. He scored one of the goals of the tournament. Scored a couple of goals that will be goal of the tournament, because his mentality is, I don't care who the opposition is in front of me. He scored a goal against the home fan in front of 8,000 fans and basically celebrate in front of them. He's that kind of attitude. And that's excellence. And also in the face of adversity, it's like, it's me, I'm here, but I'm going to show you what I can do. That's the kind of players we want. And if you're going to say inspiration, that's what we want to inspire. Go be excellent and good things will happen. But I don't really want to buy too much into the narrative that this is going to inspire a generation, it's going to inspire X, Y, Z. And that's why I've tried hard not to be too hard on people when talk about representation, but equally to go, do you know what? If I'm being very honest, this is called Brown Ballers FC because it's the platform Brown Ballers who had the opportunity for us to partner up with, and they call Brown Ballers. They could have been called something else. It could have been Desi Ballers FC, or it could have been Nischal Sports Group FC, depending on who had bought the opportunity. So the name definitely will ring bells. It will definitely catch attention. And tomorrow, when we face off against West Ham United, believe me, everyone's watching that game. Everyone's watching because it's a Premier League team. You're going to have a huge audience watching Rahul play. We're going to be the proxy of receiving that audience attention. And in boxing, this happens often where a fighter walks out to booze and ends up converting the fans his way and they cheer him at the end. I believe that probably everyone's going to be booing us. And by the end of it, they're going to be cheering us on. That's what I believe. And that would be the inspiration.
That's it.
Yeah, I think we can't end on a better note. Very inspirational what you guys have put together, guys. My best wishes. I think we will speak a little bit more once the tournament is over and speak about your experiences that you have at the TST 7v7. And the work continues. The hustle continues. The community can't wait. All of us have to do our little bit. And Parus, Z, my best wishes not only to you, but also to the coaching staff, the support staff, and especially to the players. Hope they make us all proud.
Will do, brother.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add one more point.
Please.
Thank you for everything that you do as well.
100%. The OG.
Everything.
No, we always make sure it's important that whoever watches this understands how much you sacrifice and put into this. As I'm going to tell, I'm the youngest in this three. You know what I mean? But I when oh yeah, sorry. but I think when I first started, when I was doing 2018, I thought no one's doing it, no one's doing this, and we're trying to and again, mentality being want to be the best, and happen to be brown kid, Indian kid. But it didn't. When I started this journey and working in football and professional football, and obviously it led me to working with the Brown Ballers and working with working here on this project. I didn't realize how many people had come before me that had laid the pathway for me to even conceive opening a business, working in sports, working in investment for sports, working with players, and that's come from you, man. So it's really important that you understand that. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. And again, it's all of us to inspire the next generation to try at least as hard as us, or maybe even try even harder, because the community needs it. All the best for TST. We will speak, gentlemen. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Arunfoot here. Follow Brown Ballers. Follow Desi Ballers. Nice cap, Parus. Yeah, that's nice merch that Z has now. And of course, follow Nischal Sports. Follow Parus as well. And we'll all keep an eye. Thanks, guys, for this conversation.
Thank you.